Voices here sounds very clear. Savings are grand, Bahama land. Family is there, bringing good cheer. Sun, sea, and sand, they'll understand. New Providence, San Salvador, Grand Bahama, Equatorial. Where voices hit families just for Christmas. Where voices hit families just for Christmas. Call Emily and Monkey, call Abaco and Monkey, call Nanawa and Cobra Town and Fresh Creek. That island too. Call your grandma and your grandpa. They're not to hear from you this year. Where voices hit families just for Christmas. Where voices hit families just for Christmas.
Sign up for Red Voice Bahamaland for as low as $14.99 a month with unlimited local and nationwide calling. You'll be entered to win your mortgage and utilities for a full year. Red Voice Bahamaland.
Red voices here, sounds very clear. Say things are grand, Bahamaland.
F&M and DNA leaders blast the government as uncertainty lingers over value-added tax. This as the hotel union speaks out against the new tax regime. Could government in Bahar Mar reach a resolution before year's end? Plus, a family clings to hope months after a jet ski operator's disappearance at sea. The details of those stories and a whole lot more on the way. I'm Vwani Toot, and NB12 The Weekend Edition starts now. Topping news tonight as the debate over value-added tax rages on. Leader of the Democratic National Alliance, Brownell McCartney, is predicting that unemployment would rise even further if government implements the controversial tax regime next summer. Meantime, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis also slammed the Christie administration, accusing Prime Minister Perry Christie of waffling on the issue.
Based on what is being said and how they intend to implement that, as a result of that, we'll have more unemployment. More businesses will go out of business.
But that's just the half of it, warns McCartney. By implementing value-added tax at 15% on July 1st, 2014, he says government would place a further burden on the backs of Bahamians, many of whom are already struggling to make ends meet.
It's going to kill the middleman. It's going to kill the middle class. And it's going to make the poor destitute. I encourage the government to please reconsider this issue of value-added tax.
Based on an Inter-American Development Bank study, Financial Secretary John Roll estimated that the cost of living in the first year of VAT would likely increase by around 5 or 6%. The new tax system has caused an outcry from some in the business community and the opposition. F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis accused Prime Minister Perry Christie of waffling after he suggested that the 15% rate is not set in stone.
Waffling all the time. You are trying to do in a very, very short period of time, without the proper foundation and infrastructure, you're more apt to make more mistakes.
In the face of harsh criticism, Christie challenged his naysayers to offer alternatives for government revenue. Well, McCartney and Minnis suggested considering other forms of taxation and collecting outstanding taxes.
One size does not fit all. We want analysis to show us where you've looked at all the various different forms of taxation.
Let's collect our outstanding debts, outstanding taxes that we have now. Let's look at diversifying our economy so there's income, people have opportunities. Let's build on our education system that is outdated in the method of educating our children.
Leaders of the country's largest union are also speaking out on that tonight. They say hundreds of Bahamians are already being overtaxed and can only bear the burden for so long. Christina McNeil explains.
That we are waiting for the government to respond because they've overtaxed our sector through the NIB contributions, where 9.8% is the maximum that any employee should be taxed. In the sector, gratuity earners they are being taxed up to 13.7%. That is the 3.9 that they already contribute off the base wage, and then of course the 9.8%. I guess we've been a little lenient with them because even though the union over the years agreed to have this particular taxation levied, I don't think anyone really thought about the impact on the workers who would have to carry this 9.8% on their own, because the 9.8% in NIB was always designed to be shared between an employee and employer. But in the case of gratuity earners, for that portion, they are treating them as self-employed persons where they're carrying the entire load.
Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers President Nicole Martin says gratuity earners in the hotel sector are being overtaxed. According to the National Insurance Board, from July 2013, workers remunerated partly to tips and gratuities are taxed on their basic wage. But when it comes to gratuities, workers are responsible for the full 9.8%. That brings the total taxation for gratuity earners up to 13.7%. That, Martin says, is far too high for workers to sustain.
Our members cannot go on for much longer with everything at a standstill, but the only thing going up is the taxation. So that is a big issue for us, and we're hoping that the government comes to the aid of the workers without us having to really march, because sometimes it seems as if that is the only way.
She says workers will not wait forever, and she anticipates the minister responsible will seek to remedy the situation shortly.
But he has assured me that he's going to get to me in short order. Now, short order for the minister might mean a couple of months. Short order for the union don't mean the end does not mean beyond 2013. So we are hoping to have an answer. Because the people are very, very unhappy with the level of taxation.
That is set to be introduced June 1st, 2014, bringing new taxes to goods and services, including the hotel sector. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Meantime, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson says teachers are seriously considering a strike vote. This after Labor Director Robert Fackerson warned public school teachers earlier this week that further industrial action would be illegal because trade disputes filed by the BUT against government have been referred to the Industrial Tribunal. However, Wilson dismissed this warning, asserting that Fackerson should not be spreading the government's propaganda. She added that the new director of labor needs to warn the government, not the union. On November 6, the BUT issued a cease order for all teachers who normally participate in after-school activities as the union began work to rule throughout the country. Technical experts from the Ministry of Works are reviewing Bahamar's new proposal for payment for the rerouted West Bay Street. This as the government eyes an amicable resolution before the end of this year. Talks between both sides have dragged on for months now. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works Philip Brave Davis says he met with Bahamar officials on Tuesday and all the necessary documents have been handed over to his ministry.
Bahamar, we're still discussing it. They provide us, as I indicated before, with all their documentations that we are going through, and I'm waiting my advice from my technical team.
Under the heads of agreement, the government is obligated to pay Bahamar $47.8 million if the cost of the reconfiguration of West Bay Street exceeded $70 million. That's according to Davis. Government technical experts have reportedly assessed the value at around $58 million. The government agreed to reimburse Bahamar for its portion once the casino tower reached the 100-foot mark. That happened in February. Coming up, a father of three's disappearance ignites his family's quest for answers. That story and more on the other side of the break.